Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another Mindset Check episode. Today we have Jojo Romeo on the show. Jojo, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm honored.
Today's title is Focusing Your Energy to Transform Your Life. Jojo is all about energy. We had the opportunity of having her on our long form podcast back in 2020, and she is amazing. Her energy is just contagious. She is someone you definitely want to follow. She's doing an amazing job with her business and her
Aw,
family, the way she's
sweet.
able to balance both and create a difference in her kids' lives. So how has energy played a role in your life, and how does it continue to influence what you do?
It absolutely has changed my life. And like you said, 5 years ago, I was a very different person. It wasn't until I started diving in and started with that personal growth and then spiritual growth and then getting deeper and deeper and then realizing how by starting your day with the right mindset could change the trajectory of that day. And still, even though I know this, stuff happens and sometimes I'll just get up and just start my day without doing any of my energy work, and I feel it all day and I'm like, ugh, I should have done it. And then one day leads to a week, it leads to a month, leads to a year, and leads to all these major decisions in your life and the way you behave and the way you respond. It has a massive impact on your life just by changing the way you start every day.
Now, has that been something you've implemented in your life for a very long time, or is that something recent that you just discovered and you're like, wow, this is powerful. It's creating the results I want in my life?
5 years ago, maybe it was 6 years ago, I started doing, some digging because I didn't have any inner peace. It was
Mm,
always about if I do this, if I'm a good cook and I stay in shape and I make money and I perform every day, and then I will feel accomplished, then I could love myself. At the end of the day, it's all about loving yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then it's going to be hard for you to love anybody else or be healthy in a relationship or healthy at work, or, it spills over into every aspect of your life. And I just had to get to the bottom of that. And so, like I said, I started with some personal growth and then moved into some spiritual growth. And through that process, I learned some different techniques that I implement and use that have really transformed my life and have given me that inner peace that I've been looking for. Don't get me wrong, it's still like a struggle. And
mm-hmm.
when I get away from it, I feel it. And then I got to go, hey, check yourself.
Yeah,
Like, you need to take the time. It's time consuming.
right,
It's a
right.
commitment. There's a couple things I do if you want me to get into it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now.
Let's do it.
So, one of the things I do, I'm going to start actually before I go to bed. I'm a member of something called Mind Valley, and it's a
Yes,
personal and spiritual. Yeah,
very
okay.
familiar with that. Yes.
And so I'm sure you're familiar with Marissa Peer then.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so she has a couple hypnosis.
She's English, right?
Yes,
Yes, yes, I know her. Mm-hmm.
exactly. She does some things again, back to like loving yourself, and so I listen to some of her hypnotic tracks before I go to bed at night. So then I'm marinating in that, because most of us, at least what I used to, is go to bed and I'm like, oh, I didn't do this. I got to do this tomorrow. Until you fall asleep, and then you're marinating in
Mm,
that anxious state, worrying. That's what I did. If I start to listen to her and I'm listening to that in my subconscious mind, I'm usually asleep before my head hits the pillow. So, but my subconscious mind is listening to that, then that gets me in a better state, for 6 hours.
mm-hmm.
And that sort of prepares me for the next day. And then I wake up and I do a couple energy clearing processes, which I could show you right now, involve some tapping. There's a couple different instructors that do it. Carol Tuttle is one of them. The other one, she has a great class on Mind Valley that
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend. Donna Eden is her name. And so, like I said, it involves, some tapping. And what it does is it aligns your meridians, because
Mm-hmm.
you could be off. And if those meridians are out, your whole day, oh, I passed this exit, I'm late for this, and one thing on top of another. And you'd be surprised. Like if you're getting ready to go speak, or if you're getting ready to go into an important meeting, there's a couple things that you can do, a series of tapping things that you can do
Yes.
that will align your meridians, and then you can go in and be calm for that meeting or be centered. And so that's something that I always do. And if I forget to do it in the morning and I do have something important, I'll do it in my car. Or recently I had a speaking engagement and I didn't do it in the morning. And so I stepped right behind the curtain and just started marching and tapping.
I love it.
If anybody would have seen me, they would have thought I was crazy, but it was super helpful. And then, of course, meditating.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that's helpful. I tend to meditate. I did get an infrared sauna at home,
Okay.
and that is great for your health, great for anybody, but especially anybody who has autoimmune. And I get in there for 30 minutes and then I try and meditate while I'm in there. So I kill two birds with one stone.
Right.
Yeah. And then that helps me get focused and centered. And then I could start my day just on all cylinders.
So I love all the different techniques you're using. I've been exposed to most of them. I have not implemented all of them, but some of them, and I find them very powerful. You know, what point did you start to utilize tapping? Because for me, I feel like I used that a few times and I felt it was very effective. I never kept doing it.
You know, like any of those things, right? I could spend all day on Mind Valley classes. I love it. I listen to them in my car, again, just so that I'm constantly using my mind, because it's hard for me to, stay still for a long period of time.
You're standing up, walking around your office right now, right?
I'm pacing, right? How did you know?
I know. Last time we interviewed and you were just like so full of energy. You were about to launch out of your chair. I remember this.
I totally am pacing. It's hard for me to sit still.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, you're full of energy.
Totally. Meditating is a challenge. It's a challenge, but you have to use techniques that help you get there.
Well, that's why I say I think tapping is great, because tapping is active. It's almost like an active form of meditation, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a moving meditation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So talk to me about that for you, and kind of how you implemented that and how it's helped you find or continue to find that peace every day. Like you said earlier, it's a daily thing. It's a daily practice. It's not like, you do this once and it's done. It's like working out. It's like staying healthy. You don't just eat well once. You don't just go to the gym once. You do this every day, right?
It's something that you have to implement every day. And like I said, it's easy to get away from it. Mm-hmm. Your day gets away from you and there's distractions and kids, and it's just something that, you have to be mindful of. And like I said, it's a challenge for me every day to stay focused to do it. Yeah. But I know for certain that my day goes better. I'm more productive. I'm more successful when I incorporate that into my daily routine.
Talk to me about your peace and kind of what was the catalyst for you to find that, right? Because you can get stuck in constantly trying to find it. There's this saying like sadness is seductive, right? So you can get stuck in this, I don't have peace. And then that becomes your identity. Always somebody trying to find peace. And to me, your voice, your demeanor, the way you communicate tells me that you have found your peace, and the way you're able to also do that with your family. I imagine you're also instilling these same principles in your kids and trying to help them find their way along this journey we call life.
Well, we all have our demons, and I still do, of course. We all struggle with that. There's no perfection, and absolutely family first. And these are things that I do instill in my kids, because I don't want them to live with that in their gut, like I did for so long, for so many years. It's a mindful practice, and it's all about loving yourself. You can get stuck in your story. I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday. She was saying, well, these people at work, and they think this and they think that. I go, well, do they? Have they told you that? Right? Is that your story, or is that something that is reality? We get stuck because we're programmed at a very small age, right?
Yes.
And we get programmed and we have these stories, and I call it my internal roommate, right? So I have this roommate, and if you had, for example, a roommate that was living with you that you could not get rid of, they were following you around all day, and you were in a relationship, he forgot our anniversary and he didn't call, and he's probably doing this or that, and you know what, he's so inconsiderate, and then you could just spiral. And then this is your roommate that's telling you this, and he's not a good guy, and blah 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 blah. And then next thing you know, he's at the door with flowers and surprising you, and you're like, if I would have listened to my roommate, right, then I could have totally sabotaged this relationship. So you can't listen to that internal roommate, because that internal roommate is always going to be negative. So you have to be very mindful of what you're telling yourself all the time. I check myself all the time. If I'm feeling something, I go, oh, that's my guilt. oh, there's my shame. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know when you're stuck in your story. And then I say, so what now what? People also love to, yeah, but I was raised in, and my family did, and this person at work did, and, bitch and complain, bitch and complain.
Right.
And I just say, you know what? So what now what? So what?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's your past. Well, I've been divorced. Well, I've been through this bad relationship, and he did this, she did that. So what now what? And it sounds cold, and you could have some sympathy and empathy, and, that sucks. But now what? So
Mm-hmm.
what? Now what?
Mm-hmm.
So let it go, work on yourself, love yourself, work on that mindful start of your day with whatever it is, and go from there. And that's going to give you the best shot at having the best day, then the best week, then the best month. But it all starts and ends with mindfulness.
Powerful. So I want to wrap up with a couple things here really quick. So just in summary, love yourself. That's the cornerstone of your evolution, your growth. Work through the emotions, acknowledge them, validate them, but then ask yourself, what now? Don't get stuck in your story. Move past it. Otherwise, your life will just be on repeat because that's the programming you have. Correct?
Right. You
Yeah.
can't change it, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
continue to look in the rearview mirror, what good is that going to do you? You cannot change it. And if you look too far in the future, you could worry about, well, what if this, what if that? And you know what? What if the sky is falling?
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to help you either. So staying present and talking about what we can do today to be our best self today is the best thing that you can do for yourself. That's part of loving yourself.
Powerful. If you could leave us with one way recently you've been able to pivot during your day where you get hit with something that's really distracting, that's really maybe pulling you down into a direction you don't want to go. What's one way that you've been able to pivot?
This is probably the most important thing I think I'll say in this interview. When shit goes sideways, you just have to stop, be able to stop and focus and say, what's my AFOG? And what AFOG stands for is another freaking opportunity for growth. And so, what is my opportunity for growth? So, there's a lesson in everything. I stop and I go, okay, what's my lesson here? Recently had something, I really trusted a neighbor. I didn't get a signature on a contract, went with like, oh, yeah, I'll get this done. And the other agent went around me, went direct, and I was cut out of a deal, lost over $100,000 commission.
Wow.
I mean, I was sick. I mean, you just can't just shake that and go, okay, just move on. Don't get me wrong. I was like sick about it for a few days, but I was just like, okay, why did such a horrible thing happen? I knew this person. I trusted this person. I'm a trusting person. So I tend to trust people.
Yes.
What was my opportunity for growth there? You know what? No matter what, always get papered up. Just get papered up, no matter who it is. That was a very, very expensive mistake. And again, I have a hard time forgiving myself. I beat myself up a lot. And that's when I got to go, no, got to get back to. That's my guilt. That's my shame. Love myself. Love myself. Give myself some grace.
Yes. Love yourself. Give yourself some grace. Jojo, thank you so much for taking this time this morning. I could probably spend all day speaking with you about all this. I would love to have you back. I love how you've shared your story. You've been vulnerable. You obviously are okay with letting people know, hey, I'm not perfect either. It's all about practice, being mindful. So I appreciate that so much. Loving yourself. Everybody, go check out Jojo. She's, like I said, she's great. Just by listening to her today, I'm sure you agree with me. Jojo, thank you so much. Love to have you back.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And you have a great day. I know you will.
Okay. Thank you. I will. Have a great day.
All right, Jojo. Thanks.
Talk to you
Too.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.